see such a full house. I want to thank the committee who picked me to do this. I'm not exactly sure who sat on it, but here I am. You know, and there's so many faces here. Maritza, you know, from Division Street, thank you. You know, Maya, you know, there's just a whole bunch of people. Angelica, Jennifer, you know, Precious, you know, I can go on and on. Thank you very much. I want just to, before I get started, I want to just take a moment to remember Leslie Feinstein. She died a few days ago, or excuse me, they died a few days ago. And she was very inspirational to me years ago when I read her Stone Butch Blues. You know, and I just want to send out, you know, like, you know, thank you for just being a part of our community. I was remembering the first Trans Day of Remembrance, and I believe it was 2011 when I first did it. I think Christina Carl was the keynote, and we were like down at the Illinois State Building, and I mean it was cold, kind of like what it was tonight, except that it was snowy and drizzly and everything. So we had a miserable time. But at the same time, it was the first time that we began to remember those that have fallen. You know, now it's become an international event. You know, and so it's like I'm very proud to be part of it. You know, I know that like everyone assembled here, my heart is broken for those friends, families, communities, for those whose names are going to hear read tonight. And there's no clear record of just how many trans people have fallen, just a rough estimate. There's very few jurisdictions throughout the world, not just here in the United States, that have, you know, statistics that are properly, you know, identify trans people. You know, generally, that's a man dressed as a woman, or you know, it's a vice versa, or you know, people who are gender queer. You know, there just is no categories. So this is just a rough idea. Trans women represented an overwhelming percentage of the people killed, you know, excuse me, who are subject to violence. I mean, this is a pattern throughout the world. It's not just, you know, here in Chicago or Illinois or the United States. I want to remind everyone here tonight, we should take care not to label these persons as victims. Rather, they should be viewed as the heroic and the resilient, the vanguard of a movement for dignity, for equality, for their full measure of human rights. You know, these are our soldiers. While preparing for this keynote, I wanted to find like one person that sort of represented many of the girls that, you know, are going to be on this list. And the murder of the 26-year-old Jennifer Lade on October 11th in Olongapo City in the Philippines is the one that I'm thinking about. She was beaten, strangled, and finally drowned in a toilet while having this 19-year-old U.S. Marine PFC, you know, run and hide on a aircraft carrier. It didn't take very much investigating. I mean, they know he committed the crime. He admitted it, and what's typically happening here And I mean, I've taken a lot of time communicating with people on the internet that I know in the Philippines and everything, but it's the same thing. There's very disturbing language being used about this girl. You know, she was a prostitute. You know, she wore clothes that were inappropriate. You know, it's all about her. And a couple of days ago, I saw another post from one of the major networks in the Philippines, where they were talking about what a good boy this guy was, and they posted pictures of him, you know, in his uniform, looking very innocent almost. So this happens all over the world. You know, this is not just something that is peculiar or to one nation or something. You know, so she was accused of lying, that she was not a real woman. You know, the young man was a good boy. While we honor these trans folks, we must move beyond the lamenting of those we have lost in the struggle. We must honor these persons by developing a genuine liberation mentality, forge a revolutionary consciousness. And before anybody starts saying that Alexis wants us to throw like Molotov cocktails, it's not like that, okay? For too long, we've settled for scraps that fall from the LGBTQ banquet table. We must be involved in our liberation at every level. The social service agencies that provide services need to become agents of change, not just services. That is the revolution I'm talking about. If law enforcement cannot or will not change the way it treats trans people, then we must pursue them in the courts, in the legislature, or in the streets if necessary. That is revolution. We must reject racism, misogyny, while practicing honest self-examination within our own community. We must reject the reactionary segregationists that advocate trans misogyny. At the same time, we must build solidarity, you know, across movements. You know, the women's movement, you know, the anti-prison movement. We must build each other up. We must, while tearing down oppressive structures. Now we have them all around us. The police, you know, some of the social service agencies, you know, particularly for me, it's HRC. You know, we need to put these people on the spot and shine a light on them. We are charged with stepping up, not just to remember the fallen, but to clear the path for future generations of transgender people. Excuse me. You know, I just want to remind everyone that we need to take care of each other. You know, we need to find a way that we can bridge those gaps between us. We don't have to love each other. We don't have to agree on everything that we do, but we have to find those connecting things, because we're a small community and we're not going to have a political power to change things unless we connect each other. And I want to leave you with peace, love, and joy. Thank you.